O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. It's Money Psychology Eve. I hope you all are ready for tomorrow night. We're going to continue to cut them epigenetic cords and decode ourselves from the trauma that has been imparted on our lives, not by our fault, but what's been passed down through epigenetics that is causing us to have such a bad relationship with money. Listen, the past 2 weeks have been earth-shattering, literally. I'm not, and that's not an exaggeration, seriously. The first week, I got some serious downloads just about how to pray to remove some of that up from our genetic coding. And we did that during the webinar. And then last week, we had our special guest, Brother Wali Muhammad with Credit Repair, his company Credit Repair. And we talked about credit and debt and gave it a whole spiritual concept. And the idea here is so that we don't approach money. Here's the thing. We have to stop approaching money as being separate from our mission. And so we've been marrying the two these past couple of weeks. And so I'm just excited. So tomorrow, our sister Alitha Muhammad is going to be on. We're going to talk more about financial literacy, some of her specialties, insurance, investments, retirement stuff. And we're tying all of that to the mission. Okay, there's nothing that we're doing or that we are going through that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not touch. And did y'all see we've been filming again for the Messenger's Residence, which is a series that we're creating around the sacred award-winning renovation of the home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so on the 26th, we're going to have an event. It's going to be a networking event, and we're going to debut one of the episodes. So I'm going to tell y'all more about it. But let's get back into this separation thing. Okay. My allergies are acting crazy. We've been having all these dust storms in Chicago, so I'm drinking water this morning, just hydrating. Okay, so we covered yesterday, we started talking about separation, and I'm going to go over a couple of points from yesterday, and then we're going to learn about another Black settlement that became a ghost town. Why are you doing this, Sister Sajdah? I'm doing it so that in your mind, you can begin to see that, number one, we've done this before. Number two, we can do it in a certain numbers that you can do it with people that are like-minded and believe like you. Number three, I want us to stop being scared. And number four, which is probably the biggest part of this, is some of our demonic and predatory and slave-like mimicking behavior has got to stop if we're going to be leaders and if we're going to govern. We want respect in society. We want respect up against other members of civilized society. We got to stop all this mess. And yes, I'm fussing a little bit this morning because we got to stop it. And as bad as I feel for those who are part of some of these cases like the Diddy trial, this behavior got to stop. I've been saying for years that we got this sexual subculture in our community that nobody talks about, but it's silently destroying us. And it's time to pull the covers back on that stuff. And it's going to hurt. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be ugly, but it's time. We cannot be treating one another like this, and we cannot expect to live these types of lifestyles and be successful. And guess what? When we get the town and the territory, wherever we're going to govern, you can't bring all that mess over here. We ain't having no freak offs and stuff like that. We building families. We are nation building. We're producing goods and services. We're elevating ourselves as a people, as a community, so that we can be equal or greater than those in civilized society. Period, point blank. We have history. So this is why we're learning about these historical towns during these series. And you'll learn that there were 1,200 of them. So we can't cover them all on the show. But I want you to see, we got templates. When I was starting to build the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the plan for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House renovation, I was really getting a lot of charged energy around the businesses. And I was blessed to be able to mention that to the minister, to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he said to me that those businesses, that almost $100 million empire, was a template. And so I started thinking that was a template on how we should govern. So if you live in any of these small suburban towns, and they've now become all Black towns, and you got a city council or a co-op, or it's a village, whatever, however you guys are incorporated, you end up with a Black mayor, Black leadership. Pick up some of these principles that we're teaching here and that we've taught on this show when it comes to conscious entrepreneurship, when it comes to the accomplishments of the Muslims, some of the governing and civic principles. Don't go up in there trying to have freak offs up in the Capitol. Don't go up in there trying to steal all the people's money and get contracts so you could drive a Rolls Royce and all of that stuff. If you're going to be a civil servant, that means servant. You got to serve the community. So you can curb for a minute your desire to have a private jet. You ain't got to steal the people money to do that. See, what you show in the world is that you don't know how to have the proper mathematical relationship with Allah. So you can't do anything. You got to take a public office in order to steal, in order to get access to contracts, in order to try to get free money. Because that's really what you're just trying to do. You're saying, I'm going to get this office. I'm going to get free money. I'm going to govern the people, forget the people. But them ain't the kind of people we need in charge. We can begin right now to practice. We got all these small towns. Some of us live in these small towns. Some of us have seen some of the controversy that's going on with government officials in a lot of these small towns. And some of these tactics that were used in the past against our Black settlements are being used in modern times against our towns that we're now governing that are Black, populated by Black people. We just don't see it because we too busy being niggas. I was about to say Negroes, but no, niggas. And so all this predatory behavior is what we got to root up out of ourselves. Learn how to give, learn how to serve, learn how to govern. And this whole idea of, I'm just going to get in here and steal and take, we got to get over that. It's so lame. It's really, really lame. And I'm going to start calling that just straight up satanic is really what it is. Anyway, let's really quickly, let's report, before we look at the video, let's read point number 4, okay, from what the Muslims want. And point number 4, which is generally on the back of, if you have an older Muhammad Speaks newspaper, it'll be on the very back. If you have an older Final Call newspaper, I should say, it'll be on the very back. If you have one in the more recent 10 years, it's on the back inside cover. And it's number 4. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents are descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slaves are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Now, Minister Farrakhan did an interview with Tim Russert in 1997, and he elaborated on this, okay? He said, first, the program starts with number 1. That, which I just read, and at that time Tim Russert showed on the screen, is number 4. The first part of that program is that we want freedom, a full and complete freedom, number 1. The second is we want justice. We want equal justice under the law, and we want justice applied equally to all, regardless of race or color or class. The third is that we want, okay, my computer just went out on me. And I have these memorized, but I'm not trusting my memory. The third, I was saying this in my sleep, and I was just going to say it to y'all, but I wasn't going to read it. But anyway, and the third is that we want equality. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. And I'm going to read that again. The third point of what the Muslims want is we want equal membership in society with the best of civilized society. He said the best of civilized society. If we can get that within the political and economic social system of America, there's no need for point number 4, which is separation. But if we cannot get along in peace after giving America 400 plus years of our service and sweat and labor, then of course, separation would be the solution to our race problem. All right. That's how that goes. Okay. First part is we want freedom, full and complete freedom. The second is we want justice. We want equal justice under the law, and we want justice applied equally to all. That means everyone, regardless of race or class or color. Everyone deserves justice. And the third is that we want equality. We want equal membership in society, not low class, not ghetto. We want equal membership in society. Wow. You know what just hit me with that? Is to say this. We're not just saying to the powers that be that we want equal membership in society. We're saying to our own people who are out there acting ratchet and treating each other any old kind of way. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. The best in civilized society. So not just the best in your society, but the best in a civilized society that apparently you know nothing about. Then if we can get that within the political, economic, social, and system in America, if we can get that within the political, economic, social system of America, there's no need for point number 4. What is point number 4? We'll go back to that again. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. If we can get that, there's no need to number 4. So at what point do we decide that we're not going to get it? But if we cannot get along in peace after giving America 400 plus years of service, of our service and sweat and labor, then of course, separation would be the solution to our race problem. Now, many of us are saying, well, we're going to continue. There's a group of us that are going to continue to fight to try to get that freedom, justice, and equality within the social and economic system that exists. And then there are those of us who are going to voluntarily opt out of that and decide, okay, we're going to separate. But then there's those of us who are already separate, who already live in Black communities, Black neighborhoods, Black cities, Black villages, Black towns. And I say to all of us, whatever trajectory that we're on, see, equality don't always mean uniformity. Whatever trajectory we are on in seeking those principles of freedom, justice, and equality, then the guiding principle of Islam as taught to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that encompasses the entire body of knowledge that was prescribed to us as former slaves should be our guiding principles. We still got to understand, what are the strategies, what are the tactics that were used to take us out, and how can we govern ourselves and our affairs so that we can avoid the perils of what we're learning about in history. I don't know how much clearer I could have said that, but I want to make sure we get that. So let's get off of this bandwagon with all this pontificating we be doing, debating back and forth. Should we separate? Do we separate? How are we going to separate? Circumstances have already dictated pretty much those three tracks. It's already there. So it's time out for philosophizing, and it's time in to start being strategic and tactical about how we're going to, as a people, seek freedom, justice, and equality for us. But we are responsible for seeking freedom, justice, and equality first for ourselves, but then for all. And the only way you can seek freedom, justice, and equality for all is you got to be free. You got to receive justice. You have to have equal citizenship in a society, in a civilized society. You got to have it first in order to get it for somebody else. See, part of the problem of something that happens with us as Black people is they make us multicultural before we even got our own rights. And once they tell us, okay, I know you created this organization for Black people, but remove the Black and make it for everybody. And then guess what happens? Everybody climbs up on our back. They got their foot on our neck and they're screaming, hollering, demanding, getting bills passed overnight, and we still at the bottom. So we got to put our own mask on first. I hope that makes sense. I see y'all in the chat. Good morning, Brother Lamont. I see you. Walaikum salam. Mrs. Phoenix 91 is in the house. Walaikum salam. Sister Betty. Hey, Sister Betty. Happy Saturday, sis. I see you. Hey, Mom. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Servant Nasir says, peace. Thank you. Sister Betty said, teach, sis. All praises due to Allah. Yes, and yes. 704 Joe, good morning. Thank you from Allah's 5% nation of gods in the earth. Yes, peace to the gods out there. Yes. Smash that like button. Yes, please donate. Cash App. Y'all see it. It's all there. Hit the super chat, whatever you feel like, spread the word. But what we're going to do this morning, any questions on how I framed our separation conversation? We got to stop being old school about this. It's time now. It's not time later. It's not time in a minute. Some of us are already right there at the door of separation. Some of us are already in it. Some of us are opting out. And especially as Black professionals who are now becoming more radicalized, if you will. What do I mean by radicalized? I mean radicalized to begin thinking for self. See, as a people, and I'm going to go into these 1,200 towns in a minute, and we're going to learn about this one in particular. We're generally not violent people. Yes, things happen in our neighborhoods. Our people are being killed left and right, unfortunately, by our own traumatic and predatory hands. We got to stop this. We got to get over it. We just got to put a stop to it. There's been talking. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, all these people been out here talking to us about accepting our own, being ourselves, loving ourselves, but we still out here acting like predators and animals against one another. Some of us sitting up right now with hateful thoughts in our mind, either about me on the screen or somebody else in the chat or somebody else you don't like. Got to figure out how to rise above emotions into the thinking of God. And if somebody's vibration is so bad that you can't be around it without being triggered, then don't be around it. They ain't going to be in your settlement. Maybe they'll be somewhere else. But some stuff is just petty, and some stuff is things that we got to get over. if we addicted to drugs and that's got us acting and cutting up and acting a fool, just stop. I saw a letter. I was going through some documents for the House, and a lady wrote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and she said, how do I stop smoking? He wrote her back 2 words, just quit. We don't got time no more. We don't have time. Some of y'all are saying, well, I'm going back to Africa. But you're going back to Africa and you want to open up a strip club. You want to go over there and destroy that society. You want to come over there with this nigga business, hating to get. I even know, let me tell you something. I know some sisters that relocated to a city in Africa. I'm not even going to say specifically. And they get along perfectly fine with the African people from the continent. But they don't get along with no other black people that come over there from America. See, you still a damn slave. You still practicing Willie Lynch. And I'm telling you, we got to stop it. I talked about Liberia and Sierra Leone and Cote d'Ivoire and how we took this Willie Lynch stuff over there. Although in this case, you got the black people from America who are beefing with each other and being jealous and competitive over business. See, we still slaves. We still want to be the only one. We don't want to be brothers. We don't want to be sisters. We have to stop, because that ain't going to fly in the separate territories. That ain't going to fly in these towns. A lot of us just waking up and looking up and realizing, oh, my town is all black. We got a black mayor in the little town. We got a black city council. Next thing you know, they on the news fighting, beating each other up, fighting over contracts, fighting over who gonna be seen the most, who got the biggest this, who got the biggest house. These are just, if you are still low vibrational life, you are not fit for leadership. And listen, y'all, those of y'all who think you just the little sister and the little brother who be hiding in the background in the comments, you the leader, because you the one been studying. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. We're gonna learn about this new town. We're gonna learn something new about this town, because I want to continue to show you these so that you can see that we have done this before. We just did without the knowledge of self and without understanding of who we are. So we weren't ready when they came against us. We weren't united enough. But I want you to go online and learn about these black settlements. I want you to study what happened to them and why. I want you to immerse yourself in it. And I guarantee you that the energy, the ancestral energy will come up to greet you and meet you. And you're going to start to come up with some different solutions. We got to do it. We don't have a choice. And for those of you who are really like, no, I don't really like living around all black people or all black this or that, guess what? That's fine too. If that's how you feel. Then when you go to the city or village where you feel like it's more culturally diverse, or maybe you feel like there's more white people there and you feel more comfortable than that, then I will ask you this. I want you to take this same assignment. And when you are in leadership there, continue to deploy these universal principles of civility and government wherever you go. The idea is for us to establish freedom, justice, and equality for all. So for those of you that got the burning sensation inside of your heart and you can't let go of multiculturalism and you can't let go of wanting to be the minority in a white society, that's fine too. Go there with responsibility and go there teaching and training civilization. I'm gonna let you have that. We're not gonna fight you on that. Go ahead, because we got work to do. It's time. It's our turn. All right. So this is about a black settlement town in New Mexico. It's not as long as the one we watched yesterday, So let's watch it. And I want you to put your questions in the chat and we'll be right back. Give me a thumbs up when I start to play it if you can hear and see.
In a time of turbulent insurrections in the South, living among the backlash towards blacks and the destruction of towns, was one man who decided to move west to build a city where his people could have an opportunity to be free. The name of the settlement was Blackdom. Blackdom was a town built for black settlers in the West in the early 1900s. It was considered the first black town in the New Mexico territory at the time and was started in its own special way.
Blackdom marketed itself as a refuge. So a refuge is for refugees. You're not really going to want to put a target on it. So to call it Blackdom, you could see that there was a larger idea behind this settlement. There was a larger understanding of culture and what was necessary at the time.
The plan was to create a place where black men and women could completely be free from the oppressive oppositions of the South. A place where settlers could raise and teach their children without fear of harm because of the color of their skin. Frank Boyer was the founder of Blackdom. The Georgia-born and bred military preacher would hear stories from his father, Henry Boyer, who would tell him as a boy about his journeys out west during his time in the Army. His father was a wagoner in the Mexican-American War and would tell Frank all about the beautiful unclaimed land in the West. Frank would carry these stories from his youth into his adulthood and follow a path that would potentially give him all that he needed to make his way out west in the future. Frank Boyer would go on to attend Morehouse and Fisk University, where he studied to become a minister and learn about the legal requirements of homesteading, or how to acquire government land for development. In schooling, he would also meet his wife, Ella Louise McGruder, who was a teacher who graduated from the Haynes Institute. They both shared the same dream, to build a black settlement.
Because he was a black minister, trained at Morehouse, so he had friends, he had a connection. He was trained in the military because he was a Buffalo soldier, so he had friends, he had officers, he had all kinds of things.
Even though Frank and Ella were very educated, had 4 kids, and seemed to thrive in Georgia, they were still faced with racism and discrimination at every turn after Reconstruction. Not only were their lives threatened, but also the livelihood of sharecropping became the norm in the South, and white supremacists flexed their dominance.
The life of the average family was extremely hard because in theory they were free. But the reality of that was just like the reality of sharecropping. It said you're earning a living, but yet at the end of the year you were deeper in debt. You were tied more to the land. So many things had been stripped from the average black family that they saw no other choice but to go and find a separate place where they could live as separate individuals. They were willing to take that chance. They felt we have no other choice. We either become subjected to this ongoing oppression or we begin to take our lives in our hands.
Not only was Frank a witness of murder, he himself was also threatened by the Ku Klux Klan members. His father told him to flee to the West where he would be safe and away from potential danger. The struggle was leaving his wife and his 4 children behind to pursue a better life. He made a promise with his family that he would send for them once he found a place to settle. A friend and student, Dan Keyes, joined him on his quest where they would travel nearly 2,000 miles on foot to New Mexico, picking up numbers of jobs on the way. 3 years later, he would send for his wife and kids, and they would make a way in Dexter, New Mexico, farming hay and alfalfa. They would collect their money and search for uninhabited land nearby as they continued steady to complete their dream of forming a black settlement. In September 1903, their dreams came true as 13 black men led by Frank Boyer signed the Articles of Incorporation to establish the Blackton Town Site Company to build the town. Blackton was located on a direct route to the Dexter train station to the east, and Artesia, another New Mexico Territory boomtown, 20 miles south. West of Blackton was Apache land. Blackton was also 20 miles south of the city of Roswell. At the time of conception in Blackton, there could be found a church that doubled as a school, a post office, a few houses which included the 2-bedroom home of the Boyers, and a flowing well of artesian water that would help with farming. The Boyers would run advertising calling for other oppressed blacks to join them in their new town site. By 1908, 300 black people would come to settle, farm, and live in Blackton.
So they went from slavery to freedom in half a generation. So you had people who were in the town site company who were born under the institution of slavery. Their family was born, and then the first child born out of slavery, namely Boyer, became the president of the Blackton Town Site Company. And so when he created that, he brought his family, who were born under the institution of slavery, to this place that they called Blackton for Black sovereignty.
They would put together Juneteenth celebrations in the city with their residents and invite white and Native American settlers in nearby cities. Life seemed perfect for the settlers of Blackton, but the elements, drought, and unfortunate events would lead to this disaster. In 1916, worms destroyed the crops. Then water in the area grew scarce. It became difficult for settlers to improve the land per the requirements of the Homestead Act. And many of the settlers started to move away to Roswell and Dexter as the drought took hold. Things seemed as if they were looking up when oil was found in 1919. The residents started the Blackton Oil Company, and its single largest investor was Mittie Moore Wilson, an African-American brothel owner in Roswell. Blackton Oil contracted with the New York-based National Exploration Company to drill wells in the area. This helped Blackton become officially incorporated in 1921 and gain much revenue for the residents of the town. But by then, most of the people were gone because of the heavy drought. Frank and his family's home was foreclosed on, and Frank went on to Vado, New Mexico, which is another city that Frank Boyer established. The residents continued to make money off of the oil wells until 1929, when the Great Depression ensued and ended Blackton's future as an independent town. Town leaders dissolved Blackton in 1930. Today, the town only sports a commemorative plaque and a few ran-down structures that were destroyed by the desert elements.
It didn't fail because of any human actions. It failed because of nature.
A lot of times we talk about the 20s and we talk about the Harlem Renaissance, but what we rarely, if ever, understand is that it's a part of a larger movement. And how you see the Harlem Renaissance over there, and we glorify that, realize that in New Mexico, Black people were in the middle of a renaissance, going from porters and maids to oil barons.
So the West was an escape there. It was a haven. It was the promised land. It was like a magnet drawing people from something bad. It was like the legacy of the children of Israel leaving an oppressed bondage and going to find freedom to establish their own property in their own land.
So, if you're taking the trip to New Mexico, make sure that you stop by the first New Mexican black settlement. Pay it a visit. And remember how it started. Remember what was there. Make sure that you give this video a like and make sure that.
All right, y'all. Something just came to me while I was watching that. And something just said to me to read to you all the 5 categories of perils that have destroyed these black settlements and made them ghost towns or non-existent. Most of us don't know anything about it. And so some just said, we're going to continue this on for 5 more weeks. Okay. This is our case, if you will, for separation. But it's our strategic planning. Because as I mentioned, a lot of us are either already separate, we're about to be separate, we're going to be forced to be separate. Some of us don't want to be separate. Either way, we have to understand how to strategically plan in order to properly govern. The biggest part of that strategic planning is our self-improvement process. Okay? Self-improvement, number 1. So these are the 6 areas. Self-improvement is number 1. Number 2, they use tactics of direct violence. We hear most about that when we hear a lot about Black Wall Street and the burning of these towns. We hear a lot about that. But we're gonna take a week and we're gonna talk about the tactics of direct violence. And then that way we can begin to strategically plan against that direct violence. And how do we protect ourselves against the direct violence that may come against our Black settlements, Black towns, Black villages? A lot of us living in Black towns right now. Okay. Let's see. Racist planning regimes. So there's municipalities, municipal boundaries, state driven issues, zoning law manipulations, extraterritorial jurisdiction issues, manipulation, educational manipulation, access to educational opportunities. Essential services are important. Political representation. All right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a week and talk about it because those tactics were used against the town, where a lot of times they couldn't get access to the essential services and they didn't have the proper essential services within the town. Education. I work with a city in Africa, and the first thing that they do when they build cities is they build a school. So what's our educational system looking like? Economic opportunities. We want our children, when they graduate, go to college and come back after being educated, to come back to the town. Well, what opportunities are we offering for them so that they will want to be attracted to and come back to the town or village that we're governing? Some of us, again, are going to take over wasted cities. Some of us are already living in Black towns. Some of us don't want to separate. And what I'm saying to you is, fine, don't separate, don't come. Because there's enough of us in other situations that we can still utilize these principles and these tactics of universality given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to help make America and the world better. So if you get elected in a town that's not all Black, that don't mean that you abandon these principles, is what I'm saying. All right. Property assessments were used. where they ramped up the tax assessments and caused a lot of the families not to want to live there because the taxes were too high. So we're going to talk about that. Forced sales and land loss. Almost everybody on this chat listening to this got somebody in their family, some great grandparents or something, that lost some land that was passed down to them because it was taken from them. Most everybody got that story down south. Yeah, we used to own this land, but it was taken from us. That was the big house over there. We all got that story. Well, that impacted our Black settlements and our Black towns, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the environmental injustice. Some of it is just climate change. See, one thing to study is the white man is really good at dealing with climate change in areas, or dealing with how to combat nature so they can continue to settle in an area. The city of Chicago is a perfect example of that, because Lake Michigan boundaries where you see it now are not the original boundaries of Lake Michigan. That is man-made, so that there could be a road called Lakeshore Drive or Jean Pont de Sable Drive. There would be a road right there, but all of that was shoreland. Even as far east as where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home is at 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue, that house sits on sand. So at one point, the shorelines of Lake Michigan came out that far. You don't really get to bedrock until you get to around the Pilsen area. How do I know this? Because my very first project when I left the National Center where I used to work was a $60 million pipeline project where I was the project manager to help bring lake water to the western suburbs of Chicago. And so in our drilling, as we were drilling the pipeline from Lake Michigan, we went through sand, and we knew when we got to bedrock, there were different negotiations for places like the villages of Bedford Park and places like that. It was different because now the drilling is different. When we decided to renovate the basement of the messenger's home, we dug the basement down by 18 inches, was nothing but sand. So the learning how to dam an area so to prevent the water from overtaking the town. Look at the levees in New Orleans. When they broke the levees, I didn't say when the levees broke. When they broke the levees, there's evidence of that, of explosive devices that were remnants of explosive devices under the levees that flooded New Orleans. This is written. You can look it up. I'm not making this up. That flooded New Orleans. Okay. Then the town flooded. So there's things like learning how to build levees. When you see Niagara Falls, if that water was not controlled, then there would probably be no city of Buffalo, New York. Those are just examples of water. But there are environmental warfare tactics like preventing companies from dumping chemicals into water, preventing people from poisoning land and crops and livestock, because we're going to have agriculture. Agriculture is a big part of many of the settlements, but all of our settlements more than likely are not going to be agricultural based. Why? Because again, a lot of us are living in Black towns and Black cities right to this day that were it not for the Black population, they would be abandoned. We got quite a few of them right here in suburban Chicago. You got Robbins, Illinois, and Dalton, Illinois. And we got Black leadership there. So we have to learn how to govern and be civic based on whatever aspect of separation we are now finding ourselves a part of. Some of us are going to go to Alabama and Mississippi and build new towns. I was just talking to one of my good friends last week, and she had come from a Black Muslim settlement in Mississippi. So there are some of us that are going to be doing that. There are some of us that are going to be governing in existing cities. There are some of us who are going to be building brand new, spanking new cities. And there are some of us who don't have the mindset of separation. And maybe Allah just hasn't put it inside of us because our job is to go within, quote unquote, the current society. I was about to say, quote unquote, civilized society, but within the current society, and be leadership in government. And as leaders in governments, we have to have a mission and a mindset of freedom, justice, and equality for all, as we read at the beginning of the show. Let me go to y'all comments. Please put any comments or questions in here so we could add to the conversation. Sister Monica says, Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam, sis, and great Saturday. She says she was a little late to the conversation. That's all right. She's excited to hear of this point number 4, wisdom strategies being shared. Yes, her cup of morning tea. Hey, Regional Sky Girl. Walaikum salam, sis. As Monica said, teach. Yeah, when they broke the levees. That's right. Broke the levees and put our brother in jail, Mayor Nagin, because he made the wrong people mad at the wrong time. Remember, he cussed out President Bush. And but we got to learn how to keep our nose clean. Because what happens is that we can look at it like this. We could say, as soon as we do something, they want to lock us up. But I think Allah is holding us to a higher standard. I believe it's Allah that's holding us to a higher standard, because it's these principles that we're going to cover in the next 5 weeks, where we talk about the tactics and the strategies. Here's another strategy that was used, which we'll cover. We'll put this in the economics section when we talk about it on that show, is that the railroads were being established during that time. Okay. Those railroad moguls, if you will, was vicious. And when I say that they were very strategic and they were very military minded. And let me say this to those of us out here who are Black professionals, whether we're a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, whatever it is. Stop being so naive to think that you can just practice your trade without being mission minded. Because if you understand history, you know that everybody before you who didn't look like you, in most cases, they were mission minded. They might have sat next to you in class. They might have sat next to you at the luncheon. They might work with you at the hospital. They may be part of the law firm you're a part of. They may be one of the project managers you got certified with. But in most cases, they are mission driven, in that they're either consciously and explicitly mission driven, or they're part of a mission, either through association or involuntarily. So you got to get mission minded. See, part of the problem is we out here as rugged individuals on an island. Oh, I'm a doctor. You don't care. You just want to be able to go back to your family and be like, I'm a doctor. I ain't got to help nobody. You might say, well, I'm a lawyer. It is what it is. You may think that you are your ego got you thinking you so special because you made it, that you don't have to have a mission. Guess what? You're going to lose. You're just going to be that one single generation, and that's all you're going to do. You better get a mission in your mind. So if you are one of the people who's not going to be in one of the separate villages, towns, settlements, or territories, because it's not monolithic anymore, and you find yourself and you say, I'm multicultural, and you say, I'm all about going in, I want to be the only Black person in the town. I like living in neighborhoods where it's mostly white. Maybe that's where you are, and that's okay. but you better be taking these principles with you where you go, and you better be mission minded. So at the end of the day, our mission to save our people and to properly govern ourselves is one that is good enough, divine enough, supreme enough to save all of humanity. Don't get over there with them people and start acting corrupt and acting like predators. Just because they do freak offs don't mean you got to learn to start doing freak offs. Just because they stealing contracts and doing predatory stuff don't mean you got to start doing that. You can get over there and learn and bring it back to your community, or you can get over there and govern like a god. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. So we're going to get out of here. I want to make sure, you all, that you are all signed up. Use this QR code right here. Sign up for Money Psychology Week 3, which is tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time. Sign up. You cannot listen if you don't sign up. All right. These courses are designed to begin to unravel and decode the trauma and the bad relationship that we have with money. We literally have been praying on each of these classes to decode ourselves. We thank our ancestors for everything they've gone through. We thank them for their lives, for their experiences. I almost broke down when I saw them men walking 2,000 miles. What were they thinking? What was the type of will that they had? Give me some of that drive. They walked from Georgia to New Mexico by foot, taking odd jobs along the way so that they can build this new settlement. They can find a better way. And when they got there, they sent for their wives and their children. The first person to begin to settle and buy amongst them was a Black woman. My point is this. Some of us have that in our epigenetics. Some of us have people, some of us have a combination, because some of us have people that grew up on plantations and in situations where family members were hung, whipped, or beaten. And we watched it. So when we watched it, we began to raise our children in a way to keep them protected from what we saw happen to other people in the past. And we kept passing this on. We kept adjusting our rearing, adjusting our behavior, making little spiritual cages for ourselves almost. Why? Because our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents didn't want us to be whipped, chained, or hurt. We saw the child that we had that was a little more curious, that was asking questions about money, that went out there trying to build for themselves. We've seen Martin Luther King be able to preach and walk and then get killed when he started talking about economics. This impacts us. This is a trauma. We watched the empire that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built crumble. This is a engram. This is a problem that we're now afraid to move out. We see it. But I want to be that example to show you that we don't have to be afraid of that anymore, because a God has come to give us a new way of being and a new way of thinking, and we got protection. So the ancestors can let go of us now and let us go, because we got protection. We already in danger. Yes, some of us may die. in doing this. Some of us may get killed. Some of us may fall victim to some of these perils, but there's a lot of us that's going to survive. Why? Because we are living in a different day and time. And it is our time. It is our turn. We have enough experience under our belt to lead the world. See, you can't lead if you ain't been through what we've been through. Nobody's gone through what we've gone through. And I'm going to show you over these next 5 weeks when we're talking about separation, point number 12. I'm going to show you how we are in a position, and all we got to do is work on our morality. All we got to do is work on our self-improvement. Let's work on healing. Because we're being thrust into these situations, whether we're ready for it or not. Okay, thank you, Brother Lamont. I'm going to get off my soapbox here. Great segment today, Sister Sajdah. We are nothing without that mission of being the builders of society. Amen, Brother Lamont. CDM says, ASA, walaikum salam, says, may Allah bless us to recapture the spirit of our ancestors, to desire to prosper, unite, and see ourselves as one community with the desire for freedom, which is the spiritual glue. All praises due to Allah. All right. So with that, sign up tomorrow, okay, and tune in. Next 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about separation, and we're going to be zoning in on some of those individual tactics each and every day. So, yeah, that's it. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Listen, I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And you don't want to miss it. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Make it a beautiful day. And I want you to remember, it's not vibrational. It's not personal. It's vibrational. It's not personal. It's vibrational. I'll see y'all. I'm out of here.